Okay, just Miami, real quick, and we're moving on here, of course. But I thought the one thing I was happy about our football team is I thought, with the adversity you face sitting in that locker room for 4 to 5 hours, and then that's tough when you're on the road with those delays, and then have to go out. And I thought we came out, were prepared to play, and started fast, which was good. So, about the biggest thing about came out of that game is, unfortunately, they didn't turn the ball over, neither did we. I thought offensively we took care of the football, which was huge. We got to create more turnovers on defense, and then we got to shore up a couple things on special teams. But for the most part, was pretty pleased with the first performance. This Eastern Kentucky team, when you watch them on tape, I mean, their starting defensive nose guard was started at Notre Dame at one time. They got linebackers at Tennessee. They got starting tailback Scott was the guy who started for Louisville a couple years ago. So they got two defensive ends that can play for anybody. They had 5 sacks against Kentucky a year ago and had a chance to beat Kentucky on the road at Kentucky. So, I mean, nobody needs to think this team is a team that's going to come in here and can't play, because they can. And they got good players and they're well coached. So this week will be no different than the other week. We got to make sure we do a great job, preparing for these guys and be ready to play, because I come in here all the time and say something about somebody's going to get beat that shouldn't. Every week it happens. And if you look at last week, there was about 3 or 4 1AA teams that beat 1A teams, and it'll happen again this week somewhere. So we just got to make sure it's not us. Captains this week, Malik Gant will be a captain again on defense, along with Chase Hancock, and Jordan Dowry and Tyree Brady will be the 2 captains on offense.
Doc, you've seen, you look at this team last week, they rushed for 400 yards. What did they do well with the rushing attack to be able to methodically move the football on the ground?
Well, it starts with the guy they hand it to. I mean, that Scott kid's a good player, and they got 2 or 3 tailbacks that can play for about anybody. And, they run extremely hard. You put that tape on from a week ago, and not just last week, but turn them on against Kentucky last year, and people that, people think are pretty good. And, they do a good job running the football, and they're committed to doing that, and I'm sure they'll come in here and try to run against us.
On the flip side, your all's running game was able to get going pretty quickly, especially the first drive. And something from last year that you all struggled with were short yardage situations. You all got in basically a full house package, and you were able to push the pile. Is that something that pleased you about last week?
Yeah, something that we worked on since last spring with some. Anthony Anderson's a big back that we're taking advantage of his skill set, and Tim's done a nice job of developing some goal line package along with Greg. Greg Hack has brought some things with him from more places he's been. So, was pleased. We had a couple short, couple 4-minute situations. You'd like to finish it early on there, coming out from the goal line. We put ourselves in a real bad situation. We'd like to have gotten a first down there and ran clock, and the same thing there at the end, which we ended up running it out. But for the most part, I thought we ran the ball pretty well, and we're doing a good job of getting Keon and Tyler and of course Anthony involved. And all 4 of those tight ends played, and they both, all 4 of them, bring a little bit different skill set to the table. And I thought Tim did a nice job of mixing and matching those guys and putting them in a position to make plays.
You mentioned Scott. What is it about his game? I know that they utilize him on the ground as a return threat. They sort of do a lot of different things with him.
He's big. He's a big back. It's a talented guy, and like I say, he started at Louisville at one time and was a starter there, and they liked him. We talked to the people there at Louisville who, of course, their strength staff used to be our strength staff here, and they think he's a extremely tough kid. That's a talented guy. That's got a lot of ability. So, we'll have to do a great job of getting him on the ground and tackling him this week.
Did he play here in that 16 game?
I don't remember. I don't think so. Possibly. All I remember was that quarterback running around. I don't remember. Had nightmares about that guy. Thank God he didn't. I'm glad he didn't transfer there.
What did you see in Isaiah Green's?
Yeah, I thought I saw a kid that was extremely composed for a freshman to go out and take care of the ball the way he did. I felt that was number 1. I thought number 2, he made good decisions, and I thought sometimes we see quarterbacks, and we talk about all the time having the it factor. When things break down, good things happen, and that seemed like with him, he finds a way to, he keeps his eyes down the field. When things do break down, he's able to make plays, which I think is huge for a young player.
Doc, since the game's been over, when it happens in a split second when you watch the film, and some of the catches that Brady
Oh,
made.
gosh, yeah.
What you're go away with thinking there.
I'm glad he's on our team. I mean, he's just. I mean, yeah, and you know what? We talked this morning, and we'll make a point of it in our team meeting here this afternoon prior to going to practice. But you watch the way the guy goes to work every day. I mean, you guys are around here. You're probably writing stories, and 30 minutes after practice, he's down there working on his game. Catching balls off the jug machines, and and he just loves the game, and he works extremely hard at what he does, and he's good at what he does, and whatever he gets, he deserves because he sure works hard at it.
Blake Thompson, a guy that got his first start last week, and he's sort of run the gamut of offensive line, defensive line, everything like that. But he seems really, his nature seemed just really at ease with everything, and sort of a unique mindset. You think of guys as aggressive, and he just sort of goes about his business, kind of quiet, but does everything right.
Well, he's a guy that we talked about it yesterday in the meeting. He's a guy that first game last year didn't play a snap, and hadn't played a snap for us, and came in and was really disappointed he didn't get to play, but didn't pout, kept working extremely hard. And by the end of last year, he was one of our better defensive linemen, and heck, he was our champion yesterday in that game Saturday. I mean, here's a guy that just continued to work extremely hard and didn't pout about what was going on, and just wanted to get better as a player, and went out there and played extremely well. And he's a really good player right now, and playing really at a high level for us.
Especially with some younger guys trying to get into the depth chart, and that transition from high school to college and not being the so-called star or whatever. How important is his message for those younger players that are coming up?
Well, it's a huge message. Most of the kids that you get recruited at this level, they've played their whole life, and all of a sudden they get up there in that first game and they sit over watching, and it's hard on them. But they got to learn to grow up, and we've had a couple guys go in on. For example, Gilmore went in on that punt return and got a key block to Spring Tyler, on that run that he made there that helped us win the game. And so Gilmore will play more. He showed us on special teams he can go in there and make a play and help us, and which now he'll earn our trust now to go out and play more on defense and other special teams. So, things like that. There were a lot of examples like that happened, on Saturday, that were young players. We take great pride around here of earning the trust of young players on special teams. And if they can run down and make a play on kickoff and help, Joe Early's another guy that did a really good job on a couple of special teams that helped us win that game. So, young players will earn playing time on offense and defense by the way they perform on special teams. And if they do well there, then they're going to get more play on offense and defense.
I know that B was a captain last week, but he didn't end up getting in the game. What's his status moving forward?
Well, he's. I mean, like I say, I'll tell you if we have a situation where he's out for the year. That's not the case at all. He'll be back, soon. I don't know what's 2 days, 3 days, 6 days. I don't know what it's going to be, but at some point he'll be back and he'll be fine.
Come out of that game other than that, pretty healthy?
I think so. Yeah. I think which you worry about. You get to a point in that game where, our guys ate pregame meal at 11:30 in the morning, and at 6 o'clock, you're almost 7 hours later, they haven't eaten anything, and of course, Mark Gale did a nice job. We had a lot of things in that locker room for him, and snacks and that type of thing, but, you just wonder, you get those long delays like that, it becomes a issue with, guys hydrating and cramping and all those and I thought for the most part, of course, our strength staff did a tremendous job. These guys, they're in shape, and I thought we probably handled a little better than what Miami did, because they had a couple guys that cramped, but we didn't have anybody who actually went down with cramps. But I was concerned about that part of it.
Xavier Gaines, makes a catch on I think it was the first drive of the game. You all go in for the score right after that, and he had an opportunity to make a play later on, wasn't able to complete the catch. But at the same time, he sort of adds that speed dynamic, that athleticism at that tight end spot. He
does. Like I mentioned earlier here today, that all four of those guys, and they all four played. And they all four played pretty well. So, Cody Mitchell brings a different skill set than X, and of course, Amani Vice, a little bigger body. It's a little bit of a combination of both. And then we got the young freshman in there. Miller is a good football player. He went in and played a couple critical snaps. Number one on the punt team, but two, he played a couple snaps on offense too. So, those guys all have a different skill set. And Todd and Tim have done a good job of mixing and matching those guys and taking advantage of what those skill sets are.
We've talked about in preseason about the red shirt rule, and you have the opportunity to play some of those younger players 4 games. Is this a game because it's an FCS opponent that possibly look to get them in if the situation presents itself?
Well,
again?
I don't know that. I think, number one, you, as I mentioned before, you better play your best players. You better be prepared to play or you'll get beat. So, we're going to do whatever we got to do to win the game, and if they can help us go win that game as Gilmore did on Saturday, then yes, they'll play. I'm not going to put a kid in there, if he's not prepared to play. So, we'll keep. We're only in game 2, and I think Gilmore, I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason. I think he's the only true freshman that went in and played that particular game. So, as we go along, if need be, then we'll play those guys. If not, they won't play.
Malik Thompson sort of told on you. He said you actually liked the music during the 5-hour delay or whatever it was.
I want you to know that was the worst thing I ever did in my life. As you talk about, it's like putting you in a torture chamber or something, having to sit and listen to that for 5 hours. My God. But I told Jacob from now on that, plus the damn speaker was right by the coach's locker room, so that thing's going to the other end from here on out on the away games. I know that, but it was awful.
Who put Keon in charge of the locker room music? Malik also gave us that info.
I worry about a lot of things, but I pick my battles. Music isn't one of them. So if whatever they want to play, they can play, and as long as they go out and play well on Saturday, I don't care what the music. I'm going to find a way not to have to listen to it anymore. It was not good. I thought it was ringing in my ears all the way back on that bus ride home for 3.5 hours, but it's all good. It's a happy bus.
Kind of switching gears, your former kicker, Corey Bedvig, is still in the hospital trying to recover from those injuries. Do you have a message for him?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we just, we're praying for him, and he's just what a tremendous kid, and golly knows what a sad situation that is. And, we're just hoping he, recovers. I know Mark Gale and Todd have been in touch with the people there at the hospital, so I don't know exactly where that situation is right now, but just a sad deal and just a daggone shame that, that kid is going through what he's going through. Just because he had such a, number one, he's a great kid, you worry about his health, but number two, he had such a tremendous camp and was put himself in a position to be a kicker or a punter on somebody's roster, and you don't know where that's going to go now. So, number one, he's got to concern, get himself healthy and then worry about the football part of it later. Thanks, guys.